Flat. These have a little bit of fat. Oh, the good ones are like that too. They're Adidas with that cloud foam inside. That's fucking shit. It's super soft. That cloud foam. Go ahead.
Nancy, are we in?
Yeah.
Split it.
Say what?
All right, my name's Liz and I'm an alcoholic. Please join me in the serenity prayer. God, grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change, the courage to change the things I can, and the wisdom to know the difference. Awesome. I'd like to remind everybody that this meeting is being live streamed tonight. If you, for some reason, can't make it here, you can go on our website and catch a meeting, either the one that we're currently streaming or part of our library, just to let you know. But welcome to the Tuesday night alumni speaker meeting. Who is it their first time here in our room? Awesome. Welcome. You guys are the most important men and women in the room. We do this every Tuesday night. Rain or shine nowadays. Okay, let's do some introductions starting on my right.
My name is Nancy and I'm an addict.
Nancy.
Nancy.
My name is
Jasmine.
Jasmine.
Hamid addict.
Hamid. Alfie, who's eating? Alfie.
My name's Andrew, I'm an addict.
Andrew.
Jamal, I'm an addict.
Jamal.
Lester, alcoholic.
Lester.
Glen addict.
Glenn.
Scott addict.
Scott.
Bree addict.
Bree. Nathaniel.
Mike, the addict.
Mike.
Chris addict.
Chris.
Zach addict.
Zach.
Joe.
Joe.
Marco's alcoholic.
Marcos.
Keyshawn addict.
Keyshawn. Porter.
Robert, alcoholic and addict.
Robert.
Henry.
What was it?
Henry.
Harry? Oh, Henry.
Henry. Canulo.
Okay, now I'm still confused. We'll get you later.
Harry.
Harry. Okay, got it. Rick. Enrique. Chris. Sean. Joe. Roxy. Jacob. Scotty. Isaiah. Michael. Albert. Jose. Brent. Kenny.
Joshua method.
Joshua.
Sam addict.
Sam. William.
Chris alcoholic.
Chris.
Will, addict.
Will. Summer.
My family, I'm an addict. My name's Ben.
Ben.
Eddie addict.
Eddie.
Anthony alcoholic.
Anthony.
Robert addict.
Robert.
Billy, addict.
Billy.
Grant addict.
Grant.
Dalton, addict.
Dalton.
Brandon, a curving alcoholic.
Brandon.
Rudy, addict.
Rudy.
Luis addict.
Louise.
John Tate, addict.
John. And Liz, I'm still an alcoholic. Let's give ourselves a round of applause. All right, so tonight we're doing AA, so let me read the AA preamble. Alcoholics Anonymous is a fellowship of people who share their experience, strength, and hope with each other, that they may solve their common problem and help others to recover from alcoholism. The only requirement for membership is a desire to stop drinking. There are no dues or fees for AA membership. We're self-supporting through our own contributions. AA is not allied with any sect, denomination, politics, organizations, or institutions, does not wish to engage in any controversy, neither endorses nor opposes any causes. Our primary purpose is to stay sober and help other alcoholics to achieve sobriety. We kindly ask for your cooperation in making this a good experience for all who wish to hear the message. Please respect the speakers and the meeting by not talking during the readings or while people are sharing. During the break, feel free to help yourself to water, coffee, and snacks. We've asked Keyshawn to come on up and read a portion of Chapter 3 from the Big Book of Alcoholics Anonymous.
Good afternoon. My name is Keyshawn. I'm an addict. More about alcoholism. Most of us have been unwilling to admit we are real alcoholics. No person likes to think he is boldly and mentally different from his fellows. Therefore, it is not surprising that our drinking careers have been characterized by our countless vain attempts to prove we could drink like other people. The idea that somehow, someday, he will control and enjoy his drinking is the great obsession of every abnormal drinker. The persistence of the illusion is astonishing. Many pursue it into the gates of insanity or death. We learned that we had to fully concede to our innermost selves that we are alcoholics. This is the first step in recovery. The delusion that we are like other people or presently may be has to be smashed. We alcoholics are men and women who have lost the ability to control our drinking. We know that no real alcoholic ever recovers control. All of us felt at times that we were regaining control, but such intervals, usually brief, were inevitably followed by still less control, which led in time to pitiful and incomprehensible demoralization. We are convinced to a man that alcoholics of our type are in the grip of our progressive illness. Over any considerable period, we get worse, never better. We are like men who have lost their legs. They never grow new ones. Neither does there appear to be any kind of treatment which will make alcoholics of our kind like other men or women. We have tried every imaginable remedy. In some instances, there has been brief recovery, followed always by a still worse relapse. Physicians who are familiar with alcoholism agree there is no such thing as making a normal drinker out of an alcoholic. Science may not one day accomplish this, but it hasn't done so yet. Despite all we can say, many who are real alcoholics are not going to believe they are in that class. By every form of self-deception and experimentation, they will try to prove themselves exceptions to the rule, therefore non-alcoholic. If anyone who is showing ability to control his drinking can do the right about face and drink like a gentleman, our hats are off to him. Heaven knows we have tried hard enough and long enough to drink like other people. Here are some of the methods we have tried. Drinking beer, only limiting the numbers of drinks, never drinking alone, never drinking in the morning, drinking only at home, never having it in the house, never drinking during business hours, drinking only at parties, switching from scotch to brandy, drinking only natural wines, agreeing to resign if ever drunk on the job, taking a trip, not taking a trip, swearing off forever, with and without a solemn oath, taking more physical exercise, reading inspirational books, going to health farms and sanitariums, accepting voluntary commitment to asylums. We could increase the list of ad infinitum. There we go. Thank you.
Thanks, Keyshawn. And Andrew, come on up and read a portion of chapter 5.
Hi guys, my name's Andrew. I'm an alcoholic. Chapter 5, how it works. Rarely have we seen a person fail who has thoroughly followed our path. Those who do not recover are people who cannot or will not completely give themselves to this simple program. Usually men and women who are constitutionally incapable of being honest with themselves. There are such unfortunates. They are not at fault. They seem to have been born that way. They are naturally incapable of grasping and developing a manner of living which demands rigorous honesty. Their chances are less than average. There are those, too, who suffer from grave emotional and mental disorders, but many of them do recover if they have the capacity to be honest. Our stories disclose in a general way what we used to be like, what happened, and what we are like now. If you had decided what you want, what we have, and are willing to go to any length to get it, then you're ready to take certain steps. At some of these we balked. We thought we could find an easier, softer way, but we could not. With all the earnestness at our command, we beg of you to be fearless and thorough from the very start. Some of us have tried to hold on to our old ideas, and the result was nil until we let go absolutely. Remember that we deal with alcohol, cunning, baffling, and powerful. Without help, it is too much for us, but there is one who has all power. That one is God. May you find him now. Half measures availed us nothing. We stood at the turning point. We asked his protection and care with complete abandon. Here are the steps we took, which are suggested as a program of recovery. 1. We admitted we were powerless over alcohol, that our lives had become unmanageable. 2. Came to believe that a power greater than ourselves could restore us to sanity. 3. Made a decision to turn our will and our lives over to the care of God as we understood him. 4. Made a searching and fearless moral inventory of ourselves. 5, admitted to God, to ourselves, and to another human being the exact nature of our wrongs. 6, we're entirely ready to have God remove all these defects of character. 7, humbly asked him to remove our shortcomings. 8, made a list of all persons we had harmed and became willing to make amends to them all. 9, made direct amends to such people wherever possible, except when to do so would injure them or others. 10, continued to take personal inventory, and when we were wrong, promptly admitted it. 11, sought through prayer and meditation to improve our conscious contact with God as we understood him, praying only knowledge of his will for us and the power to carry that out. 12, having had a spiritual awakening as a result of these steps, we tried to carry this message to alcoholics and practice these principles in all our affairs. Many of us exclaimed, "What an order! I can't go through with it." Do not be discouraged. No one among us has been able to maintain anything like perfect adherence to these principles. We are not saints. The point is we are willing to grow along spiritual lines. The principles we have set down are guides to progress. We claim spiritual progress rather than spiritual perfection. Our description to the alcoholic, the chapter to the agnostic, and our personal adventure before and after make clear 3 pertinent ideas. 1, that we were alcoholic and could not manage our own lives. 2, that probably no human power could have relieved our alcoholism. And 3, that God could and would if he were sought.
Thanks, Andrew. Okay, why we observe the 7th tradition, which states every AA group ought to be fully self-supporting, declining outside contributions. We've asked Chris to come on up and read the 12 traditions while Sean passes the basket.
My name's Chris. I'm an addict. The 12 traditions of Alcoholics Anonymous. 1. Our common welfare should come first. Personal recovery depends upon AA unity. 2. For our group purpose, there is one ultimate authority, a loving God as he may express himself in our group conscience. Our leaders are but trusted servants. They do not govern. 3. The only requirement for AA membership is a desire to stop drinking. 4. Each group should be autonomous except in matters affecting other groups or AA as a whole. 5. Each group has but one primary purpose, to carry its message to the alcoholic who still suffers. 6. An AA group ought never endorse, finance, or lend the AA name to any related facility or outside enterprise. Least problems of money, property, and prestige divert us from our primary purpose. 7. Every AA group ought to be fully self-supporting, declining outside contributions. 8. Alcoholics Anonymous should remain forever non-professional, but our service centers may employ special workers. 9. AA ought never be organized, but we may create service boards or committees directly responsible to those they serve. 10. Alcoholics Anonymous has no opinion on outside issues, hence the AA name ought never be drawn into public controversy. 11. Our public relations policy is based on attraction rather than promotion. We need always maintain personal anonymity at the level of press, radio, and films. And 12. Anonymity is the spiritual foundation of all our traditions, ever reminding us to place principles before personalities.
Thanks, Chris. The format for this meeting is we're going to have our 10-minute speaker, then we'll take a 10-minute break, and then we'll have our main speaker, followed by chips and time for sharing. So tonight we have all the way from 14th Street. Come on up, Glen.
Oh, jeez. Over here.
And Glen, you can adjust the mic up.
Okay, can I? That better? Can you all hear me? Okay. Hi, I'm Glen. I'm an addict. Thank you guys for having me come up here tonight. I really appreciate it. This has been a very, it's been a trip. I'm not gonna lie. This whole thing has been a trip. It's not where I expected I was gonna be. If you had asked me a year ago, this is where I'd be. I would have told you you're effing crazy, for many reasons. But my story basically begins in July of 1987, where I was born in Redondo Beach. I'm the son of an immigrant father from England, and my mother, who was born in Orange County. My dad was an alcoholic his entire life, soccer hooligan, the whole 9 yards, skinhead, the whole shebang. And but when he came out to, he met my mom at a wedding. They had a mutual friend's wedding in Phoenix where she was living at the time. And so they got hitched, and I was the firstborn. I'm the first of 3 kids. And, my entire life was, as picture perfect as it really could be, as any other middle-class American family at the time could have been. My dad stopped drinking when I was born, and that began about 14 years of sobriety for him. But he got a job as a carpenter. He, rose the ranks really fast. He was able to support the entire family because I had a brother and sister who were born very shortly after, and we lived in a modest house in Carson, California. And my life was little league hockey, soccer, vacations to England to see family, vacations to Jamaica, just because my dad had a good enough job. He had everything you could have asked for, and so sorry, let me adjust this a little bit. Things were basically as perfect as they could be until they weren't. Around the time I was 13, I had noticed my parents were fighting more and more. My dad would start coming home later and later, and my mom would eventually tell us that he started drinking again. And he just, his whole attitude while he was drinking, he was never physically abusive, but he was very emotionally, mentally abusive to her, not to us, but to her. And I was kind of oblivious to it, I think on purpose at the time. I just kind of drowned it out in like Dragon Ball Z and Gundam Wing models and, things like that. I was a nerd, what can I say? But yeah, it checks out, I know, right? But so eventually what had happened was my parents, they separated, and but my dad was still supporting us financially, and but he moved out, and but he was still in our lives actively for a long time. And then on my 14th birthday, I remember I was having does anyone remember Laser Trek?
Yeah.
In Torrance? Remember that place?
Yeah.
Okay, awesome place. Laser tag is awesome. But I had my 14th birthday there, and I remember I had all my friends there, and it was great, but I was somber. I was like sad as hell because that was the first birthday where my dad wasn't there. But I remember he showed up in his work truck, he came out, he walked up to me, and at the time, this is like a thing I'm not proud to admit, but I was super into Pokemon at the time. And he came up to me and he brought me at the time it was a really rare Pokemon card. It was like a $250 card, and it was, yeah, I know. It was in a plastic case and everything. I remember I was stoked. I was like, oh my god, it's a fucking new card. It's fucking awesome. And he told me he loved me, and he said happy birthday, and then he said he couldn't stay because because him and my mom were, And he got out of his truck and he drove away, and that was the last time I would ever see my dad. Or any of us for that matter. To this day, I don't know if he's dead or alive. He just left. And after that, it was my mom, who hadn't had to work in 14 years, was now financially and parentally responsible for 3 teenagers and pre-teenagers. So she had to get a job. She had to pay all the bills. She had to be a parent. She had to take us to school. And this was all thrusted upon her. So at a very early age, I had to grow up fast. At the time I was 15, I begged this ice cream store owner to give me a job. And I focused my entire life on just trying to be the man of the house, trying to fill the void, because my brother, who was an absolute wreck afterwards, my sister too. And that abandonment kind of played a huge part in the person I would become later on. And that abandonment manifested itself in many ways, in different ways to all 3 of us. But in me, I had a tough time letting things go. Like I was always afraid that all of a sudden I was unworthy of love. I was unworthy of, why wasn't our love enough? That whole thing, And but I was a good kid. By all metrics, I was a good kid. I didn't do drugs. I didn't smoke weed. I didn't drink. I didn't do any of these things until my life was at that point just school, work, and music was my newfound love for music. At the time, I played it since a kid, but I really developed a love for it. By the time I was 13, I started playing guitar religiously. I joined a band. Which would later become my career for a little while, and that's how I filled the void. And I tried to be the best person I could. I tried to set a better example for my brother and my sister. In my 20s, I met the love of my life at the time. Her name was Amber. And we were together for 7 years. And we got engaged and blah, blah, blah. And then she got pregnant, and I thought that was going to be my life. That's perfect. I was in love. I was absolutely stoked to be a dad. I was financially, okay. I was working. Like I said, I was doing the music thing, and everything was great. And 4 months into the pregnancy, she miscarried, and it just tore the relationship apart. Her grief became a place that I couldn't be let into anymore. She couldn't. She looked at me and she saw the kid, and whoops, moving this thing. Sorry. That is where things started to spiral out for me after that. That was kind of the breaking point. I immediately got into a very toxic relationship with someone who had just lost their father, and she inherited a bunch of money, and I was just reeling from that whole thing. So we trauma bonded, and so we were just going out, and then by the time I drank a little bit, I wasn't like new to it, but I had been. And but that we discovered at that point crystal meth. That was where it all came crashing down. The meth immediately made the relationship toxic, like immediately. It turned us on one another. We became paranoid, jealous. I was emotionally volatile. I learned very quickly about all the horrible parts of me that I had suppressed for so many years because of like the emptiness that I left behind from my dad. And. So I was lost, and needless to say, that relationship ended, obviously, and I found myself, most of the time after that, I was in a string of just, loveless relationships. I lost essentially everything after a long enough period of time. You'd think just like everything, we've given it enough time, we lose everything. That's how it goes, Things like loyalty, things like, reciprocity, companionship, love. These were words that like no longer held any meaning to me. Or, because why should they, oh man. But that would all kind of change. Oh, sorry, thank you very much. Appreciate it. Oh, geez. Fucking up here. I know, sorry guys. All right, I'm sorry, I'm trying. But, anyway. Okay, so not fast forward, but, so after that relationship had ended, I found myself alone. And what I've learned now is like one of the cruelest ironies of life is the time you feel the loneliest is probably the time you need to be by yourself the most. And I didn't see that at the time. All I saw was just what my addiction and I always saw what was in front of me. Any sense of long view was gone. I wanted what was in the moment, what was in front of me, and I didn't care who I hurt or like what I damaged to get it. And I was short-sighted as hell. I lost my grandfather in 2017. I know I haven't really talked about him, but he was a very important part of my life too. He was about the only male figure I had in my life, and he died in 2017. And on his deathbed, where I should have been with him and the rest of my family, I was in my car smoking dope, and while he died. I couldn't face the shame of any of that. I had also left my band at this point because, again, I was living a double life for sure. On one hand, I had how much time? I've got 2 minutes? Oh shit, I better hurry this up. Sorry, guys. Okay, fast forward. Damn, this goes fast up here, man. I'm not gonna lie. Okay, so we're gonna bypass all of that. Okay, so we're just gonna fast forward to the jails and everything like that. Okay, so blah blah blah. Go to jail, in and out of jail. Okay, relationship here, relationship gone wrong here, restraining order here, etc. etc. I know, it's terrible. This is all terrible. This all happened, I swear. But I landed a job in 2021 at a music recording studio in Hermosa Beach with someone I've worked with professionally in the past, and it was a job I loved. I loved it, and I finally had a little bit of purpose again. Fast forward to about a month ago, I couldn't live the double life anymore. I couldn't hide it from them anymore. So I finally broke down and I told my boss, "Hey, I'm a drug addict. What do you want me to do?" And he said, "Get some help, go to recovery, and when you get out, your job will be here." And you think that would be the point where I'd be like, "Oh, okay, well, all right, let's go to rehab." 2 days later, I was arrested in Fullerton with 2 grams of dope and pipe, and I think you not. And I spent a month in jail, but I got out with no tail, no probation, no parole, and 2 days later, I came here just on my own, because I realize that, like, I'm 37 now. If I have any hope of a future, it's got to be now. I have to do this now because I'm not going to get another chance later. So I just want to say I want to thank everyone. Everyone here on my 14th Street, my 19th Street family, all you guys. You guys have all been amazing. Nancy, Roxy, Isaiah, Joe. You guys have all gave me a sense of purpose again, and like I said again, that massive hole that I've had in my heart for so many years is finally actually being filled with something of purpose and substance, and I appreciate that very much. I love you guys. Thank you.
Thanks, Glenn. Thanks for sharing. I think you gave us a little prelude, whatever you want to call it, to your next time that you speak, so we can hear the rest of your story and you don't have to rush through it. But it was nice to get to know you. So thank you for sharing. Appreciate that. Let's give Glenn another round of applause. All right, 10-minute break.
Let's get through it. All belly. That was all belly.
Thank you. Where is it?
Yes. Good job. Thank you, sir. Appreciate you.
No, you didn't.
Oh yeah, I got in the house. Regular soccer
Okay, let's start the second half of the meeting with the serenity prayer. God, grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change, the courage to change the things I can, and the wisdom to know the difference. All right, so we do have a special guest tonight that is Fred Brown alumni and brought a friend that's also Fred Brown alumni. We have some books he'll sign for you after the show. So don't rush out. Make sure you thank him. But come on up, Scotty. Give us some of your experience, strength, and hope. I need to move that mic.
Thank you. Yeah, I'm Scotty. I'm an alcoholic. That's awkward. Thanks for your leave, Glenn. I used to play Dungeons and Dragons. You know, it was And I love the laughter in here. I love that. The 14th Street and the 19th, or however you guys. And thanks for asking me, Liz. We have the same. Well, it's my home group, and I believe it's yours. It's nice to be asked to come anywhere. It really is. It is. It's when I think about that. You know, prior to getting sober, I wasn't asked much anything, you know, besides like, would you please leave or you know, something. And could I see some identification, you know, or will you take the plea, you know, or whatever it is, you know, something like that, you know. And there were more often than not, there were demands and a lot of pain. And I remember also getting asked, thank you. I'll try to drink it. Like people who were like coming back, I was in and out for years, and let me say this right now. I went out. I spoke here a few years ago, and I went out again, and I'm coming up on 9 months now, and so thank you. My head tells me that's not much time, but it is. You know, for an addict or an alcoholic to stay sober one day is fucking crazy, and it truly is. If you have this thing we suffer from, and I can't forget that. But I remember also coming back in over the years, and people would ask me, "Are you done yet?" You know, and that question also hit me. It was you know, and there were many times where I swear with sincerity, you know, that I was truly done, and what are you going to do different this time? All those things, you know, and yeah, I don't know. But all I know is this: I can acknowledge the fact that I'm an alcoholic today. I know that within my heart. It's not one of those things I just say. I'm you know, mimicking people saying this shit, and it's like something I feel. I know that, like, and when I say alcoholic, I twist the pookie, all right. And I'm not the best pookie. So if I was smoking with y'all, like, you're burning that shit, you know. But also, but I'm really good at smoking crack and heroin. You know what I mean? Heroin's my thing, and you know, and that shit's extinct now too. But and crack, as far as I know, too. And hello, Zoom. Yeah. I don't know what else to say. Also, you know, thanks, Roxy. I heard this song being sung earlier. I want to know what love is, or whatever. And, you know, I remember crying during that one time, you know, and you know, swearing that I was done too, and you know, leaving and then getting loaded again. And then and Jacob, a friend of mine, from the city, and he had called me up today. I told him that I was speaking here because he told me some time ago that he had gone through here, and anyways, and he came out, you know, to support, and that's beautiful, you know. Those things weren't happening to me prior to when I was running on the streets. And Ben, good to see you. We met at a musicians meeting or Howell Hall. I can't remember. I was trying to think which one, but it's really good to see you, and congrats on 6 months. Yeah, I'm an alcoholic and a dope fiend, whatever, and I grew up in Seattle. Alcoholic family. My dad got sober when I was 7, so I remember like him going to meetings and all that. I remember his life had changed, you know, through alcoholics. Of course, I didn't look at it like that, but I knew he was going to meetings and getting sober. And I remember like the 24-hour day book sitting on the you know, the bathroom, whatever, you know, where books often go, and the Serenity Prayer on the wall. And I remember looking at that Serenity Prayer, and it didn't mean anything to me when I was a little kid, you know. And I don't know. I had a fucked up perception from the get-go. You know, I remember like the old rock and rollers who would like remember hearing about Janis Joplin and Jimi Hendrix and whoever else, and the overdoses and all that shit. You know, and I remember kind of being like tied into that for some reason, or it held a lure over me. I was like, not that I wanted to die necessarily, but it was like, but drugs, you know what I mean? I remember before I'd ever like ingested any drugs or drank or anything, it was like, I remember smoking parsley and doing lines of baking soda, you know, I was like, I was wrapped up in this shit. I wanted the image that came with all this, you know, and I did good in school. I was one of those guys that was in honors and all that, and they put me in honors, and I'd go put me in general population, you know, or however you say it, just regular school, right? And because I didn't want to be looked at as like a nerd, you know, and you know that was like a big thing for me. And you know, the image, totally wrapped up in image and how the world perceived, or how anybody around me perceived me, and it consumed me forever. And you know, by the time I first started smoking weed, it was under a bush in Seattle, and I remember the feeling that I got from it was like, yes, this is it, man, you know, and I loved it, and you know, little did I know that those bushes would become prominent in my life later. You know, I was once evicted from a bush on the side of I-5. You know, they told me to, you know, the Department of Transportation. They left me a note saying, you know, some form letter saying I'd vacate the premises, and you know, and everything else, and hiding in bushes, you know, from the cops and everything. I used to, anyways, so you know, little troublemaker kid, all that, got into skateboarding and the whole punk rock scene, all that bullshit, and you know, and it was an avenue that really worked for me, you know, because right around the time I was dealing with a lot of abuse inside and outside the house, and I don't want to get much into that, but there was a lot of shame involved, and I held those things. I didn't want to tell anyone about all that stuff, and so you know, when I ran away to the streets at an early age, and you know, I remember I stuck a needle in my arm. I was like 15 years old, and I'm showing that track mark to my friends, and most of my friends were fuck ups, but not like that fucked up, you know. But they're like, "Oh, dude, you shouldn't be doing that, man." I'm thinking of like Darby Crash and Sid Vicious and all that shit, you know. And I'm like, "Yeah, I should be doing that, man." And, you're crazy, you know. And I like the idea of being perceived. I liked being looked at as crazy, you know what I mean? Like, and I liked calling myself an alcoholic and a drug addict too, until it got like really bad, you know. But I took pride in that, and it was an identity that worked for me, you know. It was like, you know, I don't know. Yeah, so I mean, when I first started, I jumped in, you know, and it took me a while to get strung out. But I got into skateboarding. I was going, you know, not professionally or anything, but I was going up and down the coast skating all these, you know, spots, you know, and it was very low key back then. Skateboarding was, and punk rock too was, more or less. But whatever, it was still counterculture-ish, you know, and I really liked that. And, not that matters, man. We all come in here through different, you know, paths. You know what I mean? It's like, that shit doesn't matter. It's just my story. And but I remember in '94 I was up in Vancouver, and I got a little habit, you know. And I came back to Seattle that summer. I went up there for a weekend, and I stayed up there for like 6 months. And I came back to Seattle, and got a habit, and I quickly gravitated to the detoxes, institutions, jails, you know, wherever else, hospitals, you know. And that was kind of I became a booster. I'd always been a thief, you know. I wasn't like a good friend, you know, to my friend, you know, stealing whatever, you know what I mean? But like shoplifting, all that shit. But when I got into drugs, it was like, I mean, all of a sudden I'm stealing CDs and, you know, whatever, musical equipment, and you know, selling shit at pawn shops, and you know, and of course, you know, I was pretty good at it. I did it every day, but I still got busted a lot, and yeah. So you know, and during one of those times in jail, like '95, there was this guy named Cherokee that I had shot dope with in Seattle, and he came in and did a panel. So my introduction to this program, this is '95, you know, and it's a long time ago, and but I saw him, and this guy had like scars all over from abscesses, you know. He'd done time, you know, and all that, and he also served as a vet, and he's a veteran, and he's dead now. He died clean, and but he's known up there. He's known for like he left a mark in the community up there as far as like helping people, and beautiful thing. And anyways, I saw him come in, and that was like the first seed was planted with me that this could possibly work if I wanted. I wasn't ready, but it was still like, you know, sobriety or clean, whatever, you know what I mean? Sounds cool, kinda, you know what I mean? But I still hadn't endured enough pain to want to change my life, and you know. So, anyways, in and out of jails, all that, you know, in Seattle, and then in 2000, I stole a guitar. It was I used to shoplift guitars, believe it or not, and I stuck the guitar down my pants, and I got away with it many times, but this time they nabbed me at the door, and one of the guys who nabbed me had a heart condition, and he ended up having like a heart attack or something like that, right? And the paramedics came, and this is how self-centered I am. I'm like, the paramedics are there, they're cuffing me up and all that, and then I'm like, oh, I don't need any help, you know what I mean? I see this guy on the ground right there, I'm like, and he's fuck, man, like, they're wheeling him in, and I'm scared, and I had a girlfriend at that time. She's since passed also, but she was from out here. She was from Pedro actually originally, and we came out here and with habits, and just did the same shit. And I was stealing DVDs and all that stuff, whatever, and anything. You know what I mean? I remember stealing like razors and toothpaste and shit, you name it, anything I could sell, like the shops, whatever. And but anyways, I started getting popped out here, and I remember like first time was like 5 months in Orange County or something like that. Let me out with like 97 days or something, and a 3-day kick they called it, for being good, and then get out again, and I had, of course, I jumped into this treatment center down there, and I jumped because I got loaded, and I jump out of that place, and I got a warrant for my arrest. I get popped for some shit, and I get, so they're like, oh, and I had a warrant in Seattle at this time too, so I get popped, and they're like, all right, well, check this out, you can do 16 months with half, and by the time all this shit will be eaten up and whatever, and so I jumped on it, and so my first term was they sitting in county for a bit, all that, and they bring me to Corcoran. It was 3C. It was a yard that was jumping, like it just kicked off between various factions, let's say, and so we're all slammed down and all that, and I ended up getting that warrant taken care of, but and then they shot me to a drug yard. And they had this program called SASCA then. I don't know what it's an acronym for something, and. But anyways, they pay for your treatment and all that. And I ended up coming to Fred Brown. And, this is 2002, something. Guys are still singing that song. And Roxy's all excited about the Christmas parties and dances and all that stuff and trying to get us to sing. And of course, I'm rebellious. I'm like, I'm not singing Christmas shit. I'm not even religious, man. It's like, I don't anyways, whatever. Things were going good at first. It was like I got a sponsor in name, all that kind of stuff, and I broke my elbow skateboarding right out front. Like there was like an anger management class or something they used to have across the street on the 14th Street house. There was a house that was owned or rented by Fred Brown. And anyways, they used to do classes there, and I just thought of Al and beautiful man. But anyways, so I broke my elbow and I went to the hospital, and I called someone from the program, who's my sponsor, and we're talking, and I'm sitting there, and they're setting the bone, and they said, oh, well, you need some morphine, and I'm like, oh yeah, I do. I'm in pain. I'm glad you recognize my situation, and of course, within a few days, I'm hiding it, at first, they give me a bottle of like Vicodin or something, Norcos or whatever it was, and I'm working it at first. I'm like, yeah, I'm just got this, broken elbow, blah, blah, blah. And then, within a few days, I'm right back down Skid Row, and that's where I found myself every time. It was like Skid Row or MacArthur Park, but usually Skid Row, and Pedro, San Julian, all that shit. And, anyways, I don't bore you with the details, but I was running around. It was like all in and out of prison for, I did 4 terms on small shit. I was never one of those and I felt like comparing myself to people who'd done like serious time. I felt like I'd show up to the yard and I felt like a lame too. You know what I mean? So it was like, because I'm not doing 15 for fucking stabbing this motherfucker or whatever it is. You know what I mean? So I'm showing up stealing DVDs. My last term was for check this out. You want to laugh now? My last term was for stealing 4 DVDs from the Disney store on Hollywood Boulevard. And it was terrible. And so that's like, yeah, that's not shit. What's in? Yeah, exactly. What's up, Wood? What's your? Let's see your paperwork. You know what I mean? All that shit, right? No. Anyways, it was like I kept it to my chest, but it wasn't one of those things like. And my last term, I finally went to a CCF, and so those questions weren't even asked. But but not that it mattered. No one gave a shit about that. You know what I mean? It was like they weren't as much as I'd made it out to be. You know what I mean? Like, and I remember getting busted that time. I was in the Wilcox Hotel, and I was crying. I was like, please don't. Nothing is worse than an addict having to not being able to get that next fix, knowing you're gonna go to jail and like the impending calamity coming forth, you know, or shooting you away. You know what I mean? Like that was a horrible feeling. And but I remember like, and then so like they're putting it, you know, they're chaining us up in fours and all that, you know, bringing us on the bus to Delano, and or actually that time I went to Lancaster, and finally made it to a different place. And anyways, they show you, you know, they got your mug shot when you're busted, and, you know, of course your bracelets and all that too. But they're looking at my mug shot, all laughing, you know, this crying kid, you know, and like, and I don't want to admit that stuff. I want to, you know, act like, you know, I'm a, you know, cool tough guy, you know. But I'm not, man. I'm a straight pussy motherfucking junkie that'll steal from. Yeah, totally pathetic. You know, when it comes down to it, that's me in my cups, as some people like to say. And anyways, I got out that time, and I got out that time. You know, I ended up, emailing. I was writing this girl in Chicago, and I came out, and my parole officer, agent, he wanted me to go to this program, Royal Palms, and I was like, nah, man, they're using there. I'm like staying at this GR hotel over on Fifth, on the Nickel, on Fifth and San Pedro, and the Panama, and I'm staying there, right, and like I'm smoking crack every night, and of course, you know, shooting dope, you know, and I'm like, no, man, I'm not gonna do that. I'm gonna go to Chicago. I'll be able to stay clean there, you know, and. You know, I didn't, of course, but you know, my answer was to jump ship. You know, put on the running shoes, and you know, I came back. They finally caught up with me. I actually made it like about 2 years out there, and but they brought me back on a plane, all that good stuff, and shackled in the back of the plane, all that, and then I get out of county and you know, get a GR bed again, all that, you know, and swear that I'm done, you know, and getting out. And I'm walking, you know, to the Union Station right there, and you know, and people are beelining up the steps, all that, you know, looking to do whatever they're gonna do for the evening, and I swear I'm done, you know, and I'm putting the laces back in my shoes, and God, I hated putting the laces back in my shoes, and I see a dope deal go down right then, you know what I mean? It's like, and right then I got a new connect just like within a minute, you know what I mean? I scored some dope from him, and I had this guy that you know, we'd hook up, and you know, I'd score from, you know, without, you hear it a lot in the program, but like with, you know, there'll come a time and a place where you know, you're gonna have to rely on something beyond yourself, and that I struggled with that for a long time. I still do. You know, I'm not a God guy. I'm not a religious God guy. You know what I mean? I've got my own interpretation of God that works for me, and I could be a better God guy, you know, and or whatever. But I know that I've got. Anyways, I do know that like there's going to come a time and place again. You know, if I have any evidence. If I look at what's left behind me, the wake of disaster and all that shit behind me through my drinking and using, and knowing that like calamity occurs, you know what I mean? There's going to be some shit that goes down, and I'm going to have to rely on something beyond. I can't call Jacob all the time. I can't call my sponsor all the time. I'm going to have to rely on something besides myself, you know. And in this program, they tell us that whatever that is God. You know, that's what they say, and. You know, I struggle with that, but I try, you know, and I know that I'm not God. That's the bottom. There are two things I know for certain in this program: is I'm an alcoholic and I am not God. And I also believe that like the more mired I am in this program, if I'm walking with you guys, you know, I'm doing all right. You know what I mean? Like because we're all in the same boat. You know, I got sober and so my sobriety day now is Bastille Day, which is July 14th of 2024. And my sobriety date before that was March 15th, 2013, which is the Ides of March. So there's like, if there's any like, see, I'm sure I had some other sober days for probably like Taco Day or something or whatever, but you know what I mean? Like, or whatever, who knows, man. National Collie Day or whatever it is, you know what I mean? I've had quite a few, you know. Yeah, and it's something, and you know, I've got today, you know, and when I went out this last time, I was on my way to a meeting, and I was driving to this meeting, and I'm on Melrose and the 101 right there, I'm on the off ramp, and I see this guy hanging a sign, and I knew he had holding something, you know, and I was just wanted to chip a little something, man, like so I got some Suboxone, you know, which isn't, you know, on face value it's nothing, right, but it was, and I definitely felt the effect, and also it also opened up the door to mean, just the fact that I had the desire to do something else. I mean, desires come and go, but anyways, I acted on it, and I scored it, and I went down another, this time I was down in MacArthur Park smoking that fentanyl, all that shit. We died right on Alvarado. They brought me back, and yeah, I jumped back in, and how much time do I have here?
7 minutes.
Okay, sounds about right then. All right, I jumped back in, and from day one, I started. I spoke with my sponsor, and I got commitments and meetings. I'm got a few in Los Angeles, and I just moved back to London. My girlfriend kicked me out, and so I moved back with her recently. But at the time, I was staying in Silver Lake, blah, 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 and I jumped back into the program. I know that like I'm screwed if I don't, and so like with desperation and all that, I jumped in, and yeah, I don't know what to say as far as like what I do on a daily practice. I wake up in the morning, and I was talking to Jake about this earlier. It was like I first thing I grab for in the morning is my phone. Like not all the time, but most times my phone. I'm looking at this and that, this and that. I'm trying to like whatever, it's work stuff or whatever. And but I need to. And part of this is telling myself I need to like focus on other things besides external things. And yeah, I don't know. I'll tell you though. I was about a month ago, I was working this job in Lancaster, and beautiful Lancaster, and no offense to anyone who's from there, if there is any, but I'm working. Okay, so I'm working this job. It was a photo shoot, right? And early in the morning, he wanted to shoot at sunrise and sunset, and it was like this guy. I'm not a photo guy, you know what I mean? Like I take a good mug shot, and so we do the shoot in the morning, and then we've got all this time to waste. So I hit this meeting over there in Lancaster, and it was a great meeting. I loved it. As I'm driving there, I drive past Lancaster, past the prison, and all that, and I totally remember like all the things, man, like that. It's cold out there, that high desert, they give you those Big Macs or whatever they're called, the jackets, and those thick jackets, and I remember the cop fucking with me because I got a tattoo of like a skateboard and guitar across me. He's like, "Oh, nice mandolin," like just being a dick, you know what I mean? Like, I don't play fucking mandolin, no offense to any mandolin players, but it's like, and I'm driving down the street and I'm just like, I'm openly crying, man. It's like, it was a beautiful feeling. It was like could have missed it all, you know what I mean? Like, I don't know what's in store next as far as life goes, you know what I mean? Who knows? But I know that like if I get drunk or loaded or something, it's like that illusion isn't present in me today. I know that like if I get fucked up, I'm fucked up. You know what I mean? It's like there's no middle ground for me. I'm not one of those guys like, I'm a fucking writer or whatever. But it's like some people wrote great. Charles Bukowski was an excellent when he was drunk. He can write some good shit. All kinds of writers were excellent. I don't do a damn thing. The laptop's getting like one of the first things going to the pawn shop. You know what I mean? Like, it's just not happening. And anyways, yeah, it was crazy. Yeah, it's a strange thing to be asked to do anything today. Like I said before, is I wasn't asked to do much. My value in society, and I'd really love to share. It was adorable, if I may say. Yeah, my life was shit before getting sober. You know what I mean? And I follow that up. Yeah. I don't know where else to go with that. I went with my dad. My dad has 46 years sober. He's up in Seattle. He's a big part of it. He's still part of this. And we were able to hang out. We went to Laughlin, and not the most beautiful of towns, but we went to a meeting across the river in Bullhead City, and we were like, hanging out, and like he's, telling me stories of, he's, apologizing for his shortcomings as a father and everything too. I don't hold it against him. It's like I know that what he was dealing with a lot. And we have a beautiful relationship today. My girlfriend kicked me out. She took me back, and we're doing okay, like she asked me to feed the cats in the morning, you know what I mean? Which is insane, I mean, the cats also ask, all right, they meow a lot, but But those are like, I mean, that sounds stupid, man, but it's like, it's beautiful to have a life, you know, like so many of us don't get the opportunity to turn our lives around. And I'd like to think that I have for today. I know that if I get loaded again, I've said that many times, but I know that if I get loaded again, it's a done deal, you know. And so if you're new to Alcoholics Anonymous, Narcotics Anonymous, cocaine, whatever, fucking anonymous, man, try to be open-minded. I mean, not that I can tell you anything, man. It's like we all have to like go through whatever to become willing. Pain is what brings us here, you know, or whatever. You know, sometimes circumstances, whether it's the court or whatever else, you know, sometimes one of us might hear something because of whatever. But for me, it was a lot of pain, and it's sad to have to go through all that hell to find peace, you know. But fortunately, some of us do. But the beautiful thing is, like, we get the opportunity to, you know, and to have a change of perspective and to love. I love hearing the laughter, and I love you guys are here. Thank you.
Glen's adorable. I loved it. Love that. I think, like, although I'm questioning your choice, Scotty, on stealing from Disney. You know, I was a Disney store manager for like 9 years. You're off my Christmas card list now, buddy. Next time I spill coffee all over Marina, you're the one picking it up. Scotty made me spill all my coffee because I got so excited in seeing him. And I think that's one of the joys that we get to experience here within the fellowship is seeing people thrive, seeing people change, and then being able to laugh our asses off over stupid shit. And I love that because I don't know about you, but I never thought I would be as happy as what I am now, sober most of that time. And I think sometimes our brain likes to fuck with us and think, oh my God, we could be that happy again. But you know, that hopefully that's a momentary flash that you guys get or not have it at all. Because, you know, it just will go straight down the toilet, right? I always think about that. So, you know, I appreciate you coming down. I can't wait for you to come again. Let's give Scotty another round of applause. All right, Sean, or Red, why don't we come up and do chips first? Not a Dorito.
What's up, guys? My name's Michael. I'm an alcoholic addict. I'm also your chip chick at this meeting. That's right. You need a shake. I love you. Here, that's right. Here at the Fred Brown Recovery Service meeting, we like to celebrate various lengths of sobriety, starting with the most important person in the room, the newcomer. With anyone with 29 days or less, like to come up and get a chip and a hug.
29 days or less.
Kenny. That's our word. All right. What's your name? John Chase. John Joshua. Will, alcoholic? Will. How about 30 days? Anyone with 60 days? Let's go! Lester, alcoholic. Lester.
Big Fern Dog.
Anyone with 90 days? Anyone with 6 months? Ben. What's your name? Robert. Anyone with 9 months.
9 months.
Anyone with 18 months? Still working on it? All right. We also celebrate birthdays at this meeting, but it happens at the end of every month. Please get with the, with pizza. Get with the meeting secretary if you'd like your birthday celebrated at this meeting. Anyone with a year or more, please raise your hand. Just goes to show that this program does work. Thank you for letting me be of service.
So we don't keep you guys hostage here. We're gonna go ahead and have Sean do the treasury report first. Show us the money.
Good evening, fam. My name is Sean. I'm an alcoholic and an addict. All right, we had an old balance of $77.75. We took in a whopping $75 tonight, which leaves us with a new balance of $152.75. All right. Thank you.
Thanks, Sean. Don't forget your get well cards up in the front. There's only a few. What happened with that? Okay, so Richard's gonna come on up and read a vision for you. Come on up, Rick. I know, but don't forget we're gonna.
Hey, walk with that guy.
That's my boyfriend.
Rick Addict. First, I want to say thank you to Homeboy. That was good talk. So, a vision for you. Our book is meant to be suggestive only. We realize we know only a little. God will constantly disclose more to you and to us. Ask Him in your morning meditation what you can do each day for the man who is still sick. The answers will come. If your own house is in order, but obviously you cannot transmit something you haven't got. See to it that your relationship with Him is right, and great events will come to pass for you and countless others. This is the great fact for us. Abandon yourself to God as you understand God. Admit your faults to Him and to your fellows. Clear away the wreckage of your past. Give freely of what you find and join us. We shall be with you in this fellowship of the Spirit, and you will surely meet some of us as you trudge through the road of happy destiny. May God bless you and keep you until then.
All right, so before we pray out, I'd like to thank Glen for speaking tonight, Scotty for speaking tonight. Thank you to all of our readers. Congratulations to our chip takers. We're going to pray out, and then Scotty, if you guys want a book, he's going to sign his book for you guys. So let's link up and pray out. Come on, Brady.
You're looking at yourself in that fucking thing.
All right, we all linked up. After a moment of silence for the alcoholic and addict who's still suffering, will Scotty please lead us out in the prayer of his choice?
God, grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change, the courage to change things I can, and the wisdom to go and do it. Amen.
Don't forget to clean up your wreckage.
You all right?
Brett, you want a book? Scotty, you need a pen? You want to come up here? I know you want a chair. You guys, there's still some copies of books too if you'd like to get a book, and Scotty will sign it for you or not, either way.
There you go.
Thanks, Glen. Congratulations. All right. Thanks, Rudy. Appreciate it. Yeah, of course. Bye, thank you. Is that the rest of
I will tell Mark, yeah. Where's your friend? Jacob? There he is.
My first program.
I'm gonna be somewhere far, Colorado, Texas, Missouri, Arizona, Utah. I already got my little 10 years. Oh yeah. No, I'm gonna pull over. Yeah. Watch out, he's a part of that person. I made him a gaming jail. You. I'll believe you're a gaming jail. He was start, man. We had no numbers? They went to that one guy that got fucking moved out a couple times. They were fucking, okay, so fucking, there's a blueprint. Maybe my graduation. Did he get moved out too? No. He was a wood rat, man, first of all. What's that? Robert. Oh, good credit. Guess what? We got reviewed. And the same day, we got fucking on the same line. What is the title? Burden of Concrete? Apparently this guy I started in any jet always. With the 257. I get married at 4. 527 my first jet. The second one. That do 5. It is. And I used to right up. I got a couple of times. I got killed. I'm like, Glen. Yeah,